Alright, welcome back to game 2 of the EVC Winter Finals between OP and Mobrog. So first game ended with Mobrog winning, being 1-0 up. Difference in draft and execution was very, very clear. I think draft was a very, very big part of why the game ended like it did. And so we're going to go over game 2 to see exactly what happened in this one, and if OP managed to change the draft up a bit to give them something to work with that I think they can utilize. Um, and so we see again from MOBA the Leona ban, which basically shows that it was indeed a ban targeted at Darktree specifically. Gragas ban farming from MOBA, they themselves don't want to pick Gragas first. Maybe they don't feel as comfortable on it. Maybe Kema doesn't want it. Maybe Kema just wants to play Lee. Seems like he felt comfortable first game. Mechanics were on point first game, I think. So maybe he still wants it. Doesn't want the Gragas from Ekas to come in, which is one of his better champs and one of the better junglers in the game. We see here Zayaban and Syndraban from upplay. So the Zayaban is a standard, very very standard bans that red teams like to do. Removing Zaya, remove Zyra Khan, leaves Kai'Sa as the best next AD. But Kai'Sa has some counter matchups you can play into it. You can play Syndra into it. You can play Lucian into it. You can play Varus into it. Kai'Sa is a champion that has way more counter picks, whereas Zaya doesn't really have that. And the bot lane matchup with Rakan is super big. If you get the Zaya, if the enemy picks Rakan, you still have the advantage because Zaya is just much more useful as a champion. So in that regard, it's really a much better choice for Outplay to just ban the Zaya away, or for red teams usually to ban Zaya away, and basically say to MOBA, do you want to play Kai'Sa? We can counter pick you. Or do you want to not play Kai'Sa? Maybe we take Kai'Sa and we get the last pick of support, and you can just counter pick. Syndra coming in here, which is a good first pick attempt. Cassio as well. Things to note. So what's open? GP from Sembos is open again, so that's still something he can choose. Rise is open as a first pick as well. Lee is open for both Kema and Ekas. Kiana is open for Ekas, which we know he prefers a lot. And other than that, I think these are the biggest picks. Ornn, I guess, is open, but I doubt they'll first pick it. Kai'Sa is open at this point, and Galio is open with the Kai'Sa together. So at this point, we have really a lot of picks that people can go into. In MOBA here, normally they're a team that likes GP a lot. If Outplayed could play GP on the Dara or Energy, I think they would pick the GP on 1-2 here if MOBA doesn't. But I don't think they do. And this is why I think MOBA can just take Rise on 1. And if they take Rise on 1, uh, um, if... Wait, I'm gonna write here so I can see. If they take Rise on 1, so 1 Rise, Outplayed can't say 2GP. 2GP is gone. Like, Outplayed can't do that. So if they do 1 Rise, Outplayed basically have to answer one Kai'Sa, I suppose, to Ornn or to Lee, and then MOBA can answer to GP and to Varus, and it still goes either way. And then there's a support pick that they can still pick here. Tahm Kench available. If not Tahm Kench, they can still go for Zyra. They can go for a lot. So in a sense, MOBA here has really a lot of choices for first pick. I think they'll end up going for the Lee here, which I think is not really the best choice. This gives Outplayed the Rise, which is very bad because Outplayed doesn't really play GP, as I've said. If MOBA want to pick a GP here, Outplayed would have would have Rise. They can just put Rise in top lane, so Symbols will be forced in a matchup that's losing. And I don't think the Lee will make enough differences. I think maybe just because Kema's not as comfortable. Here we see Ekas. Obviously, Kiana's open, Energy can play it, Ekas can play it, so it's a really strong pick for Outplayed. It's really good for team fight as well. Much more fitting for a comp that's based around team fighting rather than just early game prowess. We see the outplay isn't really the early game prowess that we expect them. The reason behind that is because the oddball picks from Energy such as Azure, I could definitely see them play Renekton and Elise and just play around early game. But the problem with that is if MOBA just picks GP and plays enough defensive champs like Casio, like GP, it's really hard for Outplayed to close the game because I think MOBA will just be able to defend, and that's the problem here. And I think they know that, and they'll have to play something that's more reliant on scaling. The Braum pick here is something very weird. I really did not expect the Braum here. I would normally consider a Kai'Sa here. I would normally consider a Ryze here. I think the Braum is very, very odd. I suppose they expect him to play Ali if they pick Braum and they leave Kai'Sa open, and here they can take Kai'Sa, but in all the things they'll probably play GP for sure. And maybe Gubi can play Kai'Sa, but we know Gubi can also flex on Yasuo. You know, Gubi can also flex on a lot of stuff. So I don't know really what the Braum is doing here, what a counter pick it is for. Um, because I think with Gubi's playstyle, like, I mean, they could even play I think Var Zillion. They can play a lot of stuff, and I think they can just destroy the Braum here. I think the Braum pick here early is really really bad. It only offers them a strong level 1, but other than that, nothing else. So GP here is expected from MOBA. And Tristana coming in. So Rise is still let away. They don't really take the Rise. Um, if you end up picking Tristana here, I guess it's still a flex pick. But if you end up picking the Tristana here, I don't see the point of not really going with Rise. Anyway, yeah, you show it's Rise mid. What is it? What are they gonna pick into it? Syndra is banned. Casio is banned. Veigar is a choice, but I think Rise is better right now. Um, what choices do you have as a of a mid laner? You can play Akali. I think Ryze does well into Akali, um, especially in a short lane. Um, Azure, I guess, could do well into Ryze. Maybe that's why they're afraid. They're afraid that if they pick Ryze, Energy just picks Azure on 3, and then it's a bad matchup for Aki. I suppose that could be a thing, but I guess then here you have to leave them to take the Rise, and Energy Rise is really strong, and it's even a flex pick for Lidara, and they really have a lot of choices here coming into this. So we see Akali band away, Orianna band away again from Aki, um, because Orianna is a good matchup into Ryze, so they don't really need to do that. We know Kiana is still a flex pick, Ryze is still a flex pick, Tristana is a flex pick at this point. Ashe band away from OP and Varus. Certainly maybe Kai'Sa is one here from Mobarog, and it's indeed the Tristana mid. And here OP just ends up picking Veigar. Again, not a flex pick. Doesn't show much. It could still be Veigar mid. It could still be Veigar bot. Um, and Gubi probably will end just going with the Kai'Sa. Nautilus out, Leona out. So the next one is in line Argalio, Alistar, Rakan, but it's not very good into the Veigar and the Braum necessarily. So I think Craig JJ just is very proficient maybe at these engage champions, so that's why they give him the Rakan. Alistar into the Veigar and or into the Braum is not a very good pick. But then again, neither is Rakan necessarily into them. Um, so it's really a really weird spot for MOBA here to pick the support champion, where they don't really have too many choices. I would have just went for a Zillion, and banning the Ash Forest is because they know Arash hasn't picked yet, and they know these are two champions that he can utilize very well. I would honestly maybe just leave both open and pick the other one with the Zillion, and just play the matchup like that. Um, okay, I think with the GP you can play the Aggressor in the lane, and with the Zillion into the Braum it's fine. Helps especially if they go Veigar, Zillion is good. If into Kiana, it's good. Um, so yeah, maybe that would have been the preferred thing for MOBA to do. I really don't think this Kaiser kind of matchup is what they wanted in this bot lane, or what they would have gone for. I suppose it was also forced because they don't really have another choice. So in this situation, if the enemy realizes they pick Varus, they can't really go Ash here because it's their full AD comp. So then this Tristana pick really was odd here and broke a lot of what Outplayed maybe wanted to do. And if they put a Tristana bot, maybe they could have actually Tristana Zillion in bot lane. But then after seeing the Veigar, I suppose they're afraid of it. Into Braum, it's not a very good kill lane either. Um, and Tristana mainly plays bot lane into kill lanes, as a kill lane, into lanes they can abuse. So I think this Tristana pick here really is the bad part of MOBA and what broke their draft and what allowed OP to gain the advantage in it. I mean, see here easily like I hope you're just picking Nocturne. They know Tristana made this a very good pick, Knock into Twist, because mainly as a Nocturne you want to get prior mid lane. As a Tristana you also want to get prior mid lane. Problem is Tristana mainly relies on not trading via the bomb, so you know when the bomb is gonna go off, so you can just spell shield that super easily, and then you get the push via your Q and your auto attack. So Tristana can't really trade into you either. You lose some HP, but you'll be able to get the prior back anyway. Tristana has to fight for it then, and with the exhaust, it can't really kill you. It's good for side lanes. If you play with Ryze and Veigar bot anyway, like it's good to have the Nocturne mid because it can affect the side lanes super well. Kiana Nocturne super strong whenever they roam as a 2-man unit. So this 2v2 jungle, mid jungle is insanely strong from them. Elitris is strong, but I think these two are better. And overall, GP as a defensive tool is good, but he has to lane into a Rise, so maybe he'll have to use lane defensive, all defensively in lane. Maybe doesn't allow it to help out Kaiser Arcana. Kaiser Arcana wants to be kind of the aggressor, I guess, in this lane because it's the Veigar that wants to scale. That puts them behind again because GP is more of a defensive tool. I guess he could be used offensively as well, but you need the Leander Tristana there, and then it relies on how the mid matchup goes. But the mid matchup being heavily influenced by this and the 2v2 from Outplayed winning means I see Outplayed in a better state through this draft. I think their draft is better. I think it has more win condition, it has very good scaling via the Rise and the Veigar. I think he has a great 2v2 jungle to control the mid of the game, and I think that the double AD carry into the Braum is not a very solid pick here. I think you don't need to do that, especially with the Braum that's being picked very, very early. OP outscales, I think, because of that, and also put Gobi in a position where it's hard to play Kai'Sa. You're playing into a Kiana, you're playing into a Nock, you're playing into a Ryze who can just you're playing into a Veigar who can just click on you, and it doesn't matter if you're ulting or not. Your invisibility, I guess, is the only thing that could help with that, but Fear from Nocturne goes through that. Kiana ult just doesn't care about that. It's really hard overall for the MOBA to win this game. The way I see them winning this game, if somehow they win the 2v2 mid matchup and they can influence it. If the Tristana gets a lead onto their Nocturne, get some plates and get some items over Nocturne, I think he can manage to get a prior win and maybe actually go with the Lee Sin into Kiana's jungle, and if you can affect Kiana early, you win the 2v2 mid jungle, and then you can maybe change something bot lane, I guess, with GP ult and 4-man there. Other than that, it's super hard to do something as Mobarog. It's really a hard game for them to do, but I think it's the only thing. I think Kema also needs to look to find advantages on Ekkas to force him to be behind, see where he goes, because if you spot out Ekkas, I think you really shut them down because Ekkas is the one supposed to be shadowing some lanes to be helping them out, and then just try to scale himself out to a point where he's useful. Mainly on one jungle item, and then you almost go split. Alright, so moving here next. Again, really, very standard defensive lanes. GP still plays super ahead because he knows in Teresa he can spell trade via the Grasping Q. His cooldowns are much quicker level 1 because he doesn't have the E reset. Kema starts on bot side, which is interesting. I suppose he doesn't really... He initially thinks maybe, okay, I can't really go bot side. I might as well end up on top lane. Or I might as well just end up dodging Kiana, I suppose, and then playing around this side of the map. Maybe full clearing, but this really helps Kiana a bit more. He doesn't really have much to do. I guess the only choice would be maybe buy an exhaust from mid lane, maybe influence top lane matchup a bit in the early game. But this matchup is still Ryze favored and will be Ryze favored as Ryze outscales and GP favored early on. So I don't think it's that problematic. It's really odd situation to be here as a Lee. But the interesting part is that Lee doesn't choose to do that, so he chooses to do red and then immediately invades enemy jungle because it's part of the sport that he and OP knows that because they spotted out the sport. So they'll find out that Lee's going here, and what ensures is vertical jungling, and with Moa playing that. I think this is very bad, because if we take a look at the way it happened, so here, Vigor Brom come to lane late, but what Sten Boss does, I think he pulls the wave in, and he wants the wave to push into him, but I think he autos here on extra time, and that fucks up the way the wave works. I think he shouldn't have done that, because his minions are innately lower, and if he lets that, the wave is pushing into him, and he knows that Lee wants to commit to a map to a lane swap. So I think this auto might have been a mistake and destroyed his wave management here. Res dresses that and only autos to last hit, doesn't care if GP Qs him. It's actually good for GP, so GP has to do that to take the aggro of the enemy minions. Actually, wait, what am I saying? Oh, that's bad. What the fuck? I'm retarded. My mind is broken. I need more coffee. This is so bad. Jesus Christ. I actually had a brain fart there. So they end up spotting Lee here. And the only problem that I have with this is that GP knows that. So GP took the right turn, but he fucked up with the wave management there. And that's really bad for him. Because Kiana will play the side and Lily will play bot side. The problem with this vertical jungling is that Kiana, like, I suppose she can attack bot because of the Veigar cage, but it's really awkward. It's a really awkward position. I think early he can't really do much, so I don't know how this vertical actually helps them out. I don't see a world in which this happens. Also puts the GP in a bad situation against the Ryze. Like, I think GP is much more diveable by Ryze can knock if no manages to get pressure than the other way around. Then Lee, Kaiser or Khan can dive Veigar bomb, especially with a heal. And here, like, MOBA tries to force trades, and it's good because it shows clearly that they want to dive here, and it's a play. But I don't think they are going to be able to do that. The trade is actually good, and it's in their favor. But here, Kema does something weird, where he goes to enemy wolves, starts them. I suppose they don't know exactly if they can commit to dive or not. Ekka's just farming jungle, he doesn't care. Tristana managed to get Prow mid, so now MOBA knows that they have to do this. It's still Lee doing some very awkward things. I don't know why he did this exactly, why he pulled that and then went back out. I assume he sees bot lane missing and gets scared of it. That's the only explanation for it. Tristana continues to get me prio, get some chunks on auction, force him to give him that. And Lee's still only level 2, he needs some XP. OP knows dive is coming. This dive is very bad. This dive is very, very bad. Kana just managed to farm 3 cams. He will just farm this as well, he'll farm this as well, and then she'll reset and go here. And what is Lee gonna do? So Lee took red, Lee took blue, he took this, and a small wolf. He should have taken both small wolves. I think what he wanted to do is level 3 via the small wolves, but he didn't take them both, he just took one of them. And he'll eventually lose on a big wolf. And I think maybe even on the crab, if the dive commits, I don't think he'll be able to do that. And I think Kiana just does this, goes crab, goes here, pressures mid gets prio, goes bot lane, takes crab here as well, because Veigar will re-TP. The wave will re-push into them. They got bot prio, they get crab, and Kiana just hovers around this area a bit, recalls, goes back, gets wolves, hovers on this area, bam, goes topside, wave management should be done by Veigar and Braum, such that the wave pushes back into them and rinse and repeat, and then they're safe. And because they know that also GP fucked up this, what Kiana can do is just clear this, and then run top lane, and he can punish GP super easy. So it's a lot of choices that they can do. Like, Kiana can just full clear and be up on Lee, Kiana can just choose to go top because they know GP fucked the wave, and this really puts them behind a lot, no matter what happens, because even if they come into this dive and it's 2 waves stacked in, like, actually I don't know if it's 2 waves stacked in. I didn't even see if that's the case. But they don't show. I think one wave. So it's only a dive with one wave, and it's a dive onto a Veigar 2, Brom level 2. It's really hard to execute. Like, if you commit to this dive, maybe you kill one, but you die as well. One of you dies at least. And so, if you kill Brom, maybe it's good, but Veigar still gets XP. If you kill Veigar, it's bad because he just TPs back and doesn't miss much. It's only one wave anyway under a tower. So this is a very, very poor dive. Click dice for it. Veigar takes a kill. I don't think it's worth it. And Veigar just 3 TPs here and he'll just be able to free farm. GP screws his wave and Kiana realized that. She'll eventually just take Crab and run topside. Kiana could just run way faster, but I suppose she wants to be more healthy for that. Also here the mistake of Gubi just overstaying without support in lane. Lee is not here. He goes to Crab. Gubi overstays because he wants to fix the wave. He wants to push this full wave in so he can actually reset, but he's greedy for it. Gets hit by Brom Q and then just sighs. Forces a flash on Brom, so that's at least something. But Veigar is now 2-1 and it's not good. Ekas finally goes top lane. They know what's going on. No chance for Symbols to do. I think the wave management, the hit there, just screwed it. If he would manage to make the wave push back into his tower, he would be safe and Kiana wouldn't be able to dive or go 1-for-1. So I think this is very, very poor from Mobile Rogue. Good attempt here to try to go for the gank, but it's very easy to read. I think this gank should never work, and Energy actually ends here by trying to get Prio. Because what Energy does is he farms this, he knows Tristana walks topside, because you see him. Like, he goes, oh no, wait, he goes both side? Okay, he shows both side. Ah, okay. He shows both side that he goes to the crab, and I guess then he expects maybe Tristana to be here. That's my bad, I thought he was there. But he still keeps a posturing that's very close to, like, this is very smart back. He keeps a posturing that's close to mid when he should be keeping it to here. And I think if he keeps it to here, he can just safely go into a Trist or flash out, and he's still gonna be fine. But I don't see why he wants to hard push this wave in. He has 2 pots left, so it's not like he doesn't have sustain. Even if he pushes this wave, he doesn't get anything. Both crabs are taken. Even if he goes to ward, it's no point because Lee wants to eventually reset soon enough, so the ward will be wasted. So I don't know exactly what Energy does. This lane management was very poor. Forces both sums from him. Good play by MOBA. Actually, very well played by MOBA, and Aki did a great trick there to fake that he goes into bot lane and then run to top side. But it's I think a super big mistake from Energy to do it. Lisa hasn't recalled yet, that's one thing to note, and Dragon is spawned up soon. OP probably isn't able to take it that well, but the difference is that Ekas is level 4, Lee's level 3. The buys are kind of equal on bot lane as well. And just end up coming to his jungle, controlling this, and now Lee can't really stay in bot side because he's gonna get spotted, so he's eventually forced to kind of just slow clear the Krugs, then reset, and then run into top side, but Ekka's already there. He knows he's bot side. He knows that he can just take his camps. And Lee just tries to go for a tricky play from lane, because that's the only way he can attack the lane. OP realizes that because they know Ekka's has spotted him. He gets away with one camp, and then goes to proceed to Krugs, and he's already like a whole almost level up on Lee Sin. And that's really, really big. I think there was a big mistake there to stay, I think, mid lane after the play on Nocturne. Like, I think here, when you make the play mid lane, you don't need to commit to that. And I think here you just have, I mean, yeah, I commit to whatever. But you have to reset here, I think. You have to 100% reset here as a Lee Sin. I don't think you need to do Raptors. He's on 19 CS. I think he has jungle item. If he doesn't have jungle item, he has longsword. Longsword ward, and that's still good enough. But he's greedy to farm the camps, and this gives division to OP, and he loses one camp on top side because of it. Um, so yeah, he ends up coming with jungle item longsword, which is I guess good for him, but he ended up losing on one camp because of it, and a lot of time wasted in which he needs to make use of the early game. The only lane he can actually attack now probably is mid lane. Veigar Braum is super hard to attack. Rakan into Veigar is super hard to do much. We saw that first game into Casio. Into Veigar it's even worse. But because the rare is reset and they didn't coordinate very well on the timings, he actually gets a free grab there. A good GP ult comes here, and this is the mistake by OP overstepping. So you want to force some plates, but I don't think they realize GP has 6. Very good W by Barakan here to catch both of them. Cage is very late, but I guess that's the only way. Click gets out, but Goobie's here. Ult comes from GP. Super easy to just kill the Veigar. And the Braum will eventually fall as well. And it's a clean 2v2. I mean, 3v2. But the mistake comes from OP here. But I guess MOBA exploited it very well. What Lee's doing here is he's actually going into the bot side because he knows the bot lane is not there anymore. So they eventually just steal those camps from Ekas. Ekas is forced to go top side, but he's only level 5. Very good chunk by Didara and a good roam from Nocturne will eventually force and boss to die. And he can't really do much about this. Clean dive by OP. They'll end up getting some plates. They lose mid plates and they lose mid farm. They will end up losing tower for this as well. But it's in a situation where you can't really do more. You have to get the best out of it. With your bot lane already in that situation, you have to make a plan D or cross map play. And this is the only thing I could get. And I get eventually just get 1 kill plus some plates. In the end, it's still favored for MOBA, in my opinion. But if they get in a position where Ryze scales faster than Gangplank, I think they can easily win this game. Veigar is in a position that's comfortable. If he doesn't make the mistake again, and Kaiser doesn't get more ahead, then the only damage that comes from MOBA is physical. Pretty easy to be countered by Ryze, pretty easy to be countered by Veigar. And at that point, double AD carry is also notified by the Braum, somewhat in the fight. So the win condition for MOBA kind of goes down. And with GP behind then, it's super hard to win side lane either. So not really any win conditions remaining. In the end, this plays a bit to OP's advantage, but MOBA wins the most in the short term. Kema's still here, so Raj has to go back a bit until his Braum comes. Braum was mid lane to try to defend the wave, end up losing 1 plate here, and he will lose a full wave because of it. And now he eventually comes. Jungler is just full clear for now, and I think OP just have to chill a bit and wait for no cooldown to come back up, and for him to just push the wave in. And to just try to make repeated plays on and on. The clutch giving sub from MOBA coming in, 9:30, preparing for the hell play. You normally do this if you're strong in the early game, and they realize that they are, so they do it. OP responds with a very fast swap as well. Ryze is fine in the side lane, he's scaling very, very hard in the moment. His super ahead once he gets the roll and the syrup's done. It's just over, and Righteous Glory doesn't help either. Lots of plates going to Tristana mid, which was the way I guess Tristana wants to play. Not really good into Nocturne, the counter pick not really having that much effect. I guess it's because they don't really play the 2v2 with mid jungle too well. Or maybe they're afraid of it more. OP plays a bit more aggressive here, trying to go under the jungle to get some vision, and eventually they'll be able to find Kema, and they'll be able to find Click. Basically, Click finds them here. So as they go here, they want to get mid pro and they get mid pro with Nog. They push top in. Kaiser has to respect that. TP up from GP, TP not up from Ryze yet, ult up from GP as well. So this should be a clear winner for MOBA for a few seconds. And then they spot Kiana Braum there. The only problem is Nocturne can just join any fight immediately, and I don't think they should take this fight. Rakan just engages very hard. Kemal lands Q, but just Nocturne and Kiana demolishes the Lee. Tristana ends up coming here. GP ends up going in. GP can TP. Ryze can TP as well. Um, but eventually, this fight is something that MOBA can't really win anymore. They've invested a lot of their resources already. This ult here from GP was really poor as well. Not really doing anything at all, just forcing them inside. Problem is, if you force them inside here, there's no one to actually collapse on them from this area, so it's okay. Um, Even if Kaiser comes here, he can't join the fight. Rakan no R, Rakan no flash, so he has to kind of get out this way as well. Tristana can't really join in, so it's just a fight which can't really be won unless GP TPs, but if he TPs then he loses this. So in the end, I think this is just a win for OP, and MOBA should just give it. And OP shouldn't actually go into this side. They should just go into this side, wait for a GP ult, and then come back. Veigar finally coming in as well. They overcommit. Kai'Sa flashes, Kai'Sa R's. Tristana doubles over the wall, and OP wins this. Here, OP needs to just take Herald. I think they can turn it super well. No GP ult, no Lee ult even if he comes, no Rakan ult, no ult. Only Tristana has the ult available. And there's still a Veigar with the ult that's relevant. TP available from Ryze, and TP Ryze is better than GP TP. So effectively they win. A very weird TP from Ryze here to try to chase into the Kai'Sa, and they do get the shot down, but not much more than that. I think it's an overcommit that is pretty wasteful, and I think they should have taken the Herald here, because it was MOBA who wanted to do the Herald play, and if you deny that from them, then the swap was poor. With the stronger early game that they have, they're not really getting Herald. You'll be able to get the plates that you lost in mid lane because of Tristana. I think you'll win much more from that because of it. Instead, they just try to find more picks, try to siege more. Really very eager. Ryze ends up going bot lane. GP doesn't win much more from it. Doesn't really manage to push the wave in time. So not much happens. And MOBA ends up starting the Herald here because they know the tempo is very slow from OP. So that's a very good play from them. But in the end, again, the mistake comes from OP, where they, instead of taking the Herald, just chase for a kill and then lose on tempo. MOBA just overall, from what I've seen up until now, MOBA just overall feels like a team that's much better in the fundamentals of the team. The players themselves are fundamentally a bit better. The players themselves understand the meta a bit more fundamentally. I mean, by the fundamentals of wave management, of how to play with your team, of kind of how to control the vision, or kind of how to use the tempo, how to synchronize recalls. Like they do this a bit much. This is way better than OP does. OP has a lot of times when they're very distinct on recalls, where they're very distinct on what they want to do on the map. On Kiana wasting a lot of time just being here doing the crap. I guess just want to make sure that she's full, but it's a play that could have been done 20 seconds earlier. Do it 20 seconds earlier, and it gives a bigger advantage to Idara, a bigger TP advantage maybe as well. Like it's a lot of things that just go in, which could be done faster by OP and they don't react in time, or recalls are desynced, or decision making isn't chasing here. But overall, I guess it's MOBA's mistake to engage here when they know Nocturne can just join him immediately. That ended up giving OP the chance to do it. So I think OP lives and dies by the enemy's mistake. But I don't think they're punishing them very well. And I think overall MOBA is much better in an average game, I suppose. Here it's a really forced play by Lee, which shouldn't work. I think this is really dangerous. I honestly believe this is really dangerous. Um, Lee doing this is equal to suicide. You're a level 7 Lee into a Veigar 8, Nocturne 10. If Veigar just cages here and Noct just goes in on you, you just, I think, immediately die. I think you can't actually respond to a Veigar ult in a Nocturne ult. And I don't think even if they collapse here, it's fine. Can they collapse here? Kiana's away. They can, I suppose. But Brom no flash. If Brom has flash, it's fine. Brom no flash. Maybe they can collapse. Maybe Moba knows this. And that they can actually win from this. But I don't know. I feel like Lee dies so fast here. But they're so slow. OP is so slow to collapse. What is Kiana doing? Kiana goes bot. But she goes alone. That's a really poor decision. If Kiana was here, Moba dies here. This is such a perfect fight for them. It's Nocturne being here, old. They don't know what happens. Um, Cage of Vigor in this area is just OP. Kiana is ulted here is also like nothing they can do. I think Moba makes a big mistake here. But I guess maybe do they do this reaction after they spot the Kiana or no? Oh, they do this now. They do this now already. So I think it's an overcommit. Luckily enough, OP is in there to punish, unlike last time. But Kema just gets absolutely destroyed here. He had no W because he used it on the warder to try to Q him, and I think he just wants to kick Ekas inside the team. It's a good follow up by the Rakan, but in the end, Lee Sin just gets destroyed. Raish stopwatches, and this fight will always go into OP. OP, which is much more far ahead right now. Um, it's just so easy for them to just deny one person the ability to play the game, and if that person is Aki or Gubi, I don't think MOBA can do anything more in team fights. Like Gubi is still on Kai'Sa, still doesn't have Rage Blade, so it's not in a good spot. Tristana still has no Bork, so no Trinity Force and GP. So the fight timing is odd for MOBA here because of the item spikes. It didn't really have any item spikes whatsoever. I'm not sure does have Tiamat in the third Direct, but what's most important is he has a Top Eyes against double AD, Top Eyes on Kana against the double AD, Raw stacking for Ice here, GLP already here in a stopwatch. Like the timings on the items for OP are much better, and I think MOBA shouldn't take this fight ever. I think they should just understand that they are in a position where they can't really fight, and they have to rely on very big mechanical plays to win. But I think the champions from OP don't allow that to occur. Vagar, Nocturne, and Kiana specifically. So they really shouldn't take this here. And they were over eager to commit to a fight that I don't think will ever work. Or they're at max take maybe one kill there. And OP will end up taking the fight and 3 kills, and that puts them very, very far ahead. And a team that also outscales, I don't think that's very good. Rise is still having fun in the side lane. He's already 40 CS up. Nocturne is equal in CS to Tristana, and now he shouldn't ever die on tab eyes and his items. It's good. And Veigar just doesn't care if he's 20 CS behind or 10 CS behind or 40 CS behind. He'll eventually just outscale the Kai'Sa because Veigar just skills and also like when Veigar farms, he also scales on the AP that he gets from the passive. So on every, like, for example, 5 CS that Veigar takes and 5 CS that Kai'Sa takes, Veigar is the winner always because he technically gets more gold. He technically gets 6 CS worth of instead of 5. Um, so yeah, that's why it was again very poor from MOBA, very bad decision making from them, and I don't know who was the one that made the call to go in. The execution was the best. Like, don't get me wrong, the execution was Schema finding the pick onto Ekas. He ulted into 3 people. It was a Rakan ulti into a Rakan W into 3 people, and they still lost the fight. That's how bad the decision was to go in there. Even with the fight starting very well, it just doesn't go. They just should avoid at least for spikes if they want to fight that. And even then, I don't think they win. It was just that hard. Um, the item spikes in this game are also like OP favorite, I think. It's odd, I guess, with this year. Um, but I suppose it's useful into early in the Gangplank since then they can't really do anything to you. Kai'Sa on 2 items, Tristana on 1 item, and then spikes on 3. Um, GP spikes on 1, and then progressive. Rise spikes on I suppose 2, and then progressive. Kana just spikes super hard anyway at 1 item, and then 2 items. So 1 and into 2. Lee spikes in 1 into 2 as well. Nocturne, I think on 0.5 and then into 1.5. items, and Veigar just scales progressively no matter what. Like his spike is one item, and then he scales with items as much as he gets. So, but the problem was that this team was just much better early game, and their spikes are much faster as well. So it's a really big problem. The problem was there that GP wasn't even a one item, and Rise Warrior is only one. So even if they take the fight, that's on equal terms, they won't lose it. There's just the difference of the comps and the way they play the early game, in which they give up too much to OP, but they end up getting the mid tower with that. Mid tower is usually very good into mid laners that want to farm up, such as Azir, such as um, I suppose Azir, Veigar, Rise. It's super important to take tier 1 against them because they don't allow you to farm, they have to step back and then you get the control here. But I think it's also very good into laners like Tristana, Nock, because you basically disallow them from actually just, if they want to push the wave here, you can just be sitting around these areas and to wait for them to pick them up. And it's much more dangerous for them to also roam because you don't have a tower to fall back to. So I guess the tier 1 was super smart to take from MOBA. Puts him in a good spot. Didara's caught out here in the side lane. They end up investing a lot for it, but he dies. Though whenever you make a play on the side lane, there's a knock. Knock will just do a cross map play, end up picking up the GP here. The ult from GP was, I guess, not very useful. Maybe he shouldn't really have used it here. I think he dies anyway here. Maybe he just buys some time and buy some HP because Brom is behind. Ekaz is around mid lane as well. Energy just clear this here and they'll eventually just take it. MOBA realizes that they'll lose it tier 1, so they end up taking the tier 2 with the double EDs. Very smart decision there by them, but because of the tempo play, OP actually managed to hit a bit of the tier 2 here and we'll be able to take some jungle camps. Ekaz is caught out of position, but he'll eventually be able to escape. And MOBA can't really do much more around it. They will end up taking this and they'll secure the blue buff still, which is, I guess, a good thing. They lost minimal from that situation and they gained the maximum amount, which is a good reaction to that. Another Nocturnal to mid lane on the Sem boss as an overcommit, and it's a 1-for-1, and it's something which OP should never do. If you're OP here, normally what you want to do is to put Nocturne in the mid lane, and then you put Veigar, Braum, and Kiana in the side lane, and Kiana roams around like Catalia, and the Ryze in the side lane in GP. So basically just you 3-1-1, and this one here is Ryze in the bot lane, you put Nocturne in the mid lane to clear, and you put Veigar here in the top lane always, and you put the Kiana Braum as kind of roaming units, kind of acting as Talia units in between these two lanes, just constantly roaming between these two, finding where to go. Veigar doesn't really care if he's inside lane with 3 people or not, because he still scales off cold more than he scales off XP, and so it doesn't matter if he shares XP, for example, even if he's a mage. And Kiana and Braum acting like this is a very strong duo. I think Lee is very threatened by it, and I don't think he can match it. So then they'll have to eventually match the GP into the Rise, because he's the only one that has TP. They'll have to eventually put the Tristana mid. If they put the Kai'Sa mid and they put Kai'Sa or Arcana mid lane to engage on Nock, I think Nock just plays a bit more passive and just waits for silent opportunities, maybe onto the GP with the Rise, or he can just wait for silent opportunities onto the Veigar when he reaches a tier 2 here. And that's how OP should really play. But instead, what they do is they put the Veigar mid lane and they don't really play the 3-1-1 effectively. They focus a lot on Dragon. They try to find a pick right before it spawns, but I think they're overconfident. They're not managing to find it, but it's a 1-for-1 and Nocturne falls. Lee does fall though, so jungle is there. But Kubi does find a pick, does find a kill here onto the Idara, which is very good considering the situation. Ekaz finds something back. Ake re-engages with a poor re-engage, and Omborag just ends up getting wiped. And I think at this point it's a 1-on-1, 4-on-4-on, and it's a good enough situation for you. You can't really contest Dragon anymore since you don't have jungler, so I think you should just back out and leave it there. Gubi overextends here and gives opportunity for Ekas to come in. Very good ult from Ekas and Q. Aki here I think goes overboard. He goes onto Rarish. Rarish gets exhausted, so then he kind of outputs much damage, but it's hard to out DPS through a Braum shield. And through Braum ulti that's very good. It's just no way to for what to actually turn around this fight, and I think they should have just taken the 1-for-1, which is favorite for them, and to just back out. Give the Drake to OP. OP manages to get an ace, managed to get the tier 2 tower mid lane, which opens the map even more. Even if they committed a bad play here. I think we'll be seeing this a lot in the games. The tempo play again, because it ended up hitting this tier 2 mid, means they reset slower, means MOBA's first. MOBA realized that. Very good tempo play from MOBA. To realize that and they take it. Kema does misplay here, and they don't wait for the Lee kick. Like when you do the Drake, I think they should do a delay rush on it. I think they should wait for the Drake on 2k, wait for the Lee kick to come in, and then they try to go for it. I think this way, if they try to hard rush it, and they know Nocturne can contest with the ultimate, it's going to be really hard, and even if they take the Inferno Drake, they'll lose the fight, and this gives up the free Nash, because Nash spawns in 30 seconds here. So I think this is a poor play by MOBA, misunderstanding the timings of the game, and overcommitting for an Inferno Drake, from which they don't have the resources to necessarily take. Inferno ends up going to Nocturne. I think Kema should have definitely called out, it doesn't have smite, he doesn't have kick, and they shouldn't rush it. But I guess overall it's still a team-wide miscommunication error. Hope he realizes this, and they'll eventually run to Nash. Well, they'll be able to take it, I suppose. This ends up being again in their favor. It's a comp that's heavily reliant on the 1-3-1 aspect because of the Nocturne. It can impact side lanes super easy from the mid lane because of the Kiana, because of the Rise. And so this means that the team with the 1-3-1 then will be able to get advantages. Just like last game, they'll be able to just take all the tier 2s on the map, and they'll open the map even more. They'll manage to get probably a pick on a soul laner from MOBA, and then they'll commit that to that side lane, end up taking an inhib, and from then the game proceeds. If not, they'll still starve the Lee Sin from gold. A Lee Sin that's already very far behind, outscaled by Kiana. It's very hard now for MOBA to do much. They are very far behind and they're outscaled. It's basically a replay of game 1, but reverse roles. But I think this time MOBA actually had a playable draft compared to last game when OP had a really unplayable one. It just happened that some mistakes by MOBA gave the OP enough gold to kind of work their way into this strong 20-minute mark. And here OP contra Sana in a trade of 1-for-1 with Ekas, which favors MOBA Rogue a lot. Still puts them in a position where they can't do much. Energy can just push mid lane. This is what I don't like about it. If you're playing this kind of composition and try to do this, I don't understand why you're grouping all around this area and trying to make a play. You're not here to try to take this wave here and take the tier 2. I think this is it's a very hard commit onto just a tier 2 tower when you can take both anyway if you split your teammates and you take on foreign. And in this situation, MOBA wins again because they should have lost both tier 2s. They only lose one instead. And they don't end up losing this farm technically because nobody wins from it. Nobody's forced to respond to it. So in a sense, MOBA is in a good spot here. They just need to try to defend this tower as much as they can. They end up looking for a engage on them. Very well played from the team there. Very good engage for Click. Very good from Gubi as well, and they end up taking 2 kills with the loss of the tier 2 mid. Overall, still a very good play from MOBA. They defended the tower, they managed to find some kills. They wiped out 4 Barons from OP, and OP is in a spot where it's still winnable for them, but the clock is starting to take a bit. Problem is that it's still far away. Kai'Sa is hitting 2 items. Tristana is still far away from RRE. She's nowhere near close. GP is in a very bad spot where he can't ever match side lane into Rise now. So the game is all on Kai'Sa basically to win, but the problem is into Nocturne and Veigar. If OP does continue to commit those mistakes, I think maybe MOBA would have a chance. But at this point, they're so far behind that they need a miracle to come back into this game. Um, that miracle will be a poor engage again by Outplayed. But again, it's hard for Outplayed to lose this game if they play it out safe and overcommit to plays. Rush, you're on the sideline alone. Could be a target, but they can't really go there because they don't have the vision. So again, OPE just manages to choke out the vision from MOBA. Problem is, again, they don't have the top wave pushed in, which is quite poor from them. Apparently they don't care about that. They'll be able to catch click here, click dies and a mistake. And now OP will be able to just hit the mid inhibitor and then to take the tier 3 bot lane, take the bot inhibitor as well, and they can just wait now for Nash. Instead they choose to overforce. GPL just stops that. Very good response. And now OP has to back out. They'll eventually just go to Dragon and they'll want to take that. And now MOBA is in a very bad position, with 2 inhibitors taken away. It's a position in which it's kind of good because they get final gold, but the problem is that there's only one wave now to play around, one lane to play around, and they can just commit a Nocturne mid and the rest 4 people top. They don't even need to split anymore, and they'll just be able to take this easily and then force him here, because GP doesn't really have the items to be able to clear the waves, and Tristana doesn't really have IE either. Technically, they'll need another 5 minutes of basically the full inhibs being down and farming the waves to be able to get in a position where it's carryable. Problem is, Kai'Sa doesn't have as much DPS because she just went for the AP build. I think the AD build deals more, but she has to go AP because of the situation here. And even if she doesn't end up taking Zhonya's, which is the ideal situation for her, and if she survives the initial burst, I think your team doesn't have enough DPS with her while she's in stasis to do much, and even if she comes back for stasis, she just dies to the opposition. So it's just no way, even if optimization will be stronger from them. The comparison is just too big. If itemization would be closer between the teams, that would be a situation. But at this point, OP is super far ahead, and there's just minimal stuff for mobile that I can do. This is a very, very Italian-esque play, where teams just don't wait for the waves to push in to synchronize it. They just push in the tower, they don't care. We're strong boys, we don't need to wait for no one. Eventually commit a TP from Rise as well. Yubi tries to take the waves, but of course the Nocturne can be there. The Nocturne will actually quite poor. GP will to stop it. Kiana sees an opportunity, ults them, but she immediately dies because she doesn't have GA yet. And this is a good fight for MOBA that they take. But even if that's the case, it's just they're too far behind right now to do anything. And the minions are just knocking at the door, so they have to do something about them. But the Veigar threat is still there. And yeah, OP just end up closing the game. It's just the early game was poorly played by MOBA, I believe, with the split map from Kema. I think that's not how they should have played. I think the dive was a poor decision. The split map was a poor decision. GP mismanaging wave was a very poor decision. And other than that, I think Tristana did quite well in the mid lane to control the Nocturne. But other than that, maybe they should have controlled Ekkas more in the jungle with the 2v2. Now that they had the prio on it, they didn't really choose to do that. GP fell behind. Veigar will just scale, so it doesn't matter if Kai'Sa will be strong as well. Veigar will match her just because of his scaling. And yeah, then a few mistakes from mobile allowed OP to come into the game, get some items on the assassins. Then Kiana Nocturne just destroy everyone. Didara just needs to farm up, Vigor just needs to farm up, all these would just carry the game. It's standard game plan from OP with their composition, and MOBA just didn't understand their power spikes or their conditions to win this game, and they overforced in certain situations. overall, as I said, kind of a replay of game one, but much more messy because I think MOBA in the driver's seat plays better than OP. But in the end, it's a win for OP, and the series goes to a 1-1. Okay, this has been game two, and I'll stop the recording now, and I'll come back with game two in a couple of minutes.